August 1986. This is Reading Remembrances. I'm Eric Smith. For my regular viewers, all, I don't know, five of you, you know that June of 1986 didn't even exist. July, I only read two books. That's because I was in basic training in San Antonio, Texas. For all of June, the first half of July. Second half of July, I was in tech school, so I got a little reading done. Now, August 1986, I'm still in tech school for the entire month, but I got a little bit more reading done. Some more interesting things. So let's jump right in with the first book I read in August of 1986, Howard the Duck by Ellis Weiner? Weiner? I don't know how you say his last name. It's just a novelization of the horrible, horrible movie. Excuse me. Saw the movie, hated it. I should probably watch it again. See if it's at least so bad it's good, but I doubt it. I don't even know if I've seen it since I saw it in the theater. Um, and I don't know if the book was any good or not. Don't remember. Never read it again, and I love Howard the Duck. But that's it. I read Howard the Duck. That was the first thing I read in August. Number two, A Catskill Eagle by Robert B. Parker. This is the 12th Spencer novel, I believe. And one of the things I always loved about the Spencer novels was Spencer's relationships with his friends and the people he worked with and everything, and especially with Susan Silverman, excuse me, whom he meets, I believe, in the second Spencer book. By the third, they have a pretty serious relationship. But shortly before this book, Spencer was on a case in California and he cheated on Susan. He immediately told her about it, but of course that, I think, put a little bump in their relationship. And she has been going to school to get a degree to be a psychiatrist or psychologist. Not sure exactly, a therapist, whatever you want to call it. And her graduating, sort of becoming the person she wants to be, sort of all leads to their relationship breaking up. And she goes off with, she meets a guy, goes off with this guy, and ends up, he's a horrible person. And his father, I believe, is part of a criminal empire. Anyway, she sort of gets trapped, and Spencer and Hawk have to go and rescue her, get her out of this place that she's not allowed to leave, if I remember correctly. Not one of my favorite of the Spencer books. And I think this may be about the time. I still kept reading them for quite a few years, but I think the books before this are my favorite. And I started kind of, I mean, they're still good, but not the greatest, in my opinion. Excuse me. Number three, I think that's three. Number three for August 1986, The Scarlatti Inheritance by Robert Ludlum. Again, not a huge fan of Robert Ludlum. I think I may have mentioned that before, when I mentioned the Osterman Weekend a few months ago. A few weeks ago, by this, a few months ago in my reading. This one is about a woman named Scarlatti who has to stop her son, who is going to do something to help Hitler. Basically, I had to look it up. Again, not really a Ludlum fan. I've given him a number of tried different books and things. I think he's just too dry for my taste. Just not a big fan. But now, here we go. This is the big one. What is this? Number four for August 1986. Red Dragon by Thomas Harris. Excuse me. So I'm in San Antonio, Texas, in tech school. Some buddies and I went to the local mall, to the theater, to see a movie called Manhunter. I absolutely loved the movie. I was blown away. And as I occasionally do, I immediately went outside, looked at the movie poster, saw that it was based on a book, walked straight to the bookstore in the mall, and bought Red Dragon by Thomas Harris and read it and loved it. This is the story that introduced Hannibal Lecter to the world, even though he's only a small, small part of it. If there's anybody that doesn't know this story, the only thing I had to look up was the name of the main character. I remembered his name was Will, could not remember his last name, but Will Graham, former FBI profiler. His last case, catching Hannibal Lecter, broke him, and he is retired. But there's a new serial killer called the Tooth Fairy on the loose. Will Graham is pulled out of retirement to catch the Tooth Fairy, and he has to go and talk to Hannibal Lecter to try to get inside the mind of the Tooth Fairy. This is Will Graham's gift. This is why he broke after catching Hannibal Lecter, because he can get inside the mind of the killer, and getting inside Hannibal Lecter's mind, thinking like him just messed up his head. Excuse me. So loved the movie Manhunter. I've never seen the remake, Red Dragon, or the other movie based on the book. Can't really call it a remake, I guess. And I'm really not sure how much is based on the book. As I said, Hannibal Lecter is a very small part of this. After Silence of the Lambs came out in theaters, I think it was on ABC. They showed Manhunter, and I don't remember if they changed the title to Red Dragon or if it said Manhunter, but then the subtitle was something like The Curse of Hannibal Lecter, or The Legacy of Hannibal Lecter, something like that. Because, again, Silence of the Lambs had come out, Hannibal Lecter just blew up the world, so they were trying to capitalize on that. And I watched it, and I timed it, and I believe, of course, there were commercials and everything, but I believe the movie was over 2 hours long on NBC, or ABC, excuse me. So let's say it was a special event, because Manhunter's a pretty long movie, I think, to begin with. Let's say it was on for 3 hours. That's 2 hours and 25 minutes after you take out commercials. So let's just say 2 hours. Hannibal Lecter's in it for 8 minutes. That's it, 8 minutes. And Hannibal Lecter's played by Brian Cox. I always say, whenever I see Anthony Hopkins, I always say, hashtag not my Hannibal Lecter. Because I liked Brian Cox's performance. Not that there's anything wrong with Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. I've only ever seen these two movies out of the whole series. And a little preview. Looking ahead, I've only read these two books out of all the Hannibal stuff. Anyway, that's a lot of talk about Red Dragon, but great book. I recommend watching Manhunter. It probably is going to seem very, very 80s to anybody that hasn't seen it. It does have my favorite, absolute favorite example of the visuals in the movie and the music in the movie going together perfectly. There's a scene towards the end. I'm not going to tell you what it is in case anybody hasn't seen it, wants to watch it, but a scene towards the end where the music is playing and what you're seeing on the screen and the music, it all just builds, and it's perfect. Wonderful. I'm really talking with my hands today. I don't know why. But yeah, Red Dragon, Thomas Harris. That was number 4 in August. Number 5, and the final book I read in August of 1986. Again, I was in tech school. It's not like I had a ton of time. But the last book I read in August 1986 is Laguna Heat by T. Jefferson Parker. This is T. Jefferson Parker's first novel. I think it's the only thing I've read by him. It's about a cop named Tom Shepard. Had to look over here at my notes. He was a cop in L.A. who shot a kid. It was determined that it was just a good shoot, a justified shooting, whatever you would call it, but it gets in his head. He feels guilty, and he's all messed up in the head. Kind of like Will Graham from Red Dragon. But he goes down to Laguna and is a cop there, detective. Don't remember if he's on the force down there or if he sets up like a private detective shop, but gets involved in a case. It's a like a private detective mystery, or a official detective. Either way, it's a mystery. Did not blow me away. That's basically what I remember about this book. As I said, I think I said this is the only T. Jefferson Parker book I've read because it just didn't grab me. The style wasn't that fantastic in my opinion. I mean, it was fine. Um, and for a first novel, maybe I should try some of his other stuff sometime. See if he's improved. See if I enjoy his writing a little more. There are other authors, Robert Crace. Um, their first book I thought was fine, but I tried some more, and I think he improved as a writer as he went on. So maybe I didn't give T. Jefferson Parker fair shakes. I don't know. But that's it. That's August of 1986. Only 5 books. Um, one really good, great book. Red Dragon, Catskill Eagle. It's hard to go wrong with a Spencer book. At least the older ones and the ones written by Robert B. Parker. I have not read any that have been written since his death. Um, a movie novelization. How good are there's some that are good, but this I'm sure was yeah, meh. And Robert Ludlum, what are you gonna do? Anyway, that's it. That's all I've got for this reading Remembrances. I'm Eric Smith. I was about to close out without saying any of this stuff. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Let's all be polite. If we're going to talk about this, if you have any spoilers, post a spoiler warning. Please like, share, and subscribe. And that's the stuff I need to say before I say until next time, read more books.